It's a great paradox, isn't it? It's all I know is now, and it never seems like enough, and yet every master teacher has said that everything that you really need to know, and the essential knowledge of life, is only available in that moment, in this one, now. And that's my lesson for today. Thanks for coming. Appreciate you stopping by. Thank you, Melissa. Don't need these notes. That's it. That's the best one right there. I don't want to live her. I was talking to my son this morning. He was up earlier than he normally is. And so he got to watch me in my preparation phase, and most of my preparation phase looks like a deer in the headlights look on my face, staring at the wall or the computer screen or something like that. And then at the last minute, I grabbed something as it's like two crutches, that I can lean on up here. It's an interesting process. But in the creation story, that is the old one from the Bible, it says, God said, let there be light. And interestingly, that comes before the creation of the sun and the stars. We think in terms of light coming from the sun. So we wonder, what kind of light is that precedes the sun? And the new science, quantum physics, talks about that everything is made out of light, generally speaking. So we keep getting these messages about light, and yet most of the time we're in the dark. Life seems like mostly shrouded in mystery, and we find ourselves feeling less than bright at times. But yet, it seems that what's most fundamental to reality and to us is light itself. We just had the summer solstice. Yesterday was the day in which we had more daylight than any other day this calendar year, and many people were out celebrating that. It's quite a pagan ritual, solstice celebrations. And someone has a T-shirt that says, "I'm a born-again pagan." Have you seen that one? So the celebration of the light, the extended day, extended hours of daylight, we lean into that feeling of light. We lean into the notion that the more light there is, the more possibility there is. We tend to shun the darkness and embrace the light. But even Carl Jung, who was one who embraced the darkness, said this. He said, as far as we can discern, I don't know who the we is, but probably stay away from I. Sometimes I do that as well. As far as we can discern, the sole purpose of human existence is to kindle a light in the darkness. So that's why we're here. That's what life is about. In large part, life is about turning up the light. It's about turning up the light that is not the light that we can turn on with a rheostat, turn up with a rheostat, a dimmer switch. It's the light that's already within us, and it's obscured. And so the work that we have in our spiritual path is not to get more light to shine upon us, which is a notion of the divine being apart from us, which many of us may have come from that thought system, which meant that the light's supposed to be without, that needed to be coaxed into shining upon us, to blessing us, to giving us its grace and its love and its forgiveness, as if that was a transaction that needed to be made, and there needed to be an earning of that. And this way that we see it in our faith and our tradition is that we were created in the image and likeness of light itself. So therefore, that which we are seeking can be known closer than it already is. It's closer than our hands and our feet. the Quran it says to your jugular vein is closer than, Jesus said, your breath. That's how close we are to this light that we seek in so many ways outside of ourselves, and we seek amiss, and our prayers fall on deaf ears because there is nothing being withheld. When I'm praying for the light, I am really building a case against reality because I am arguing for the limitation that does not exist. And I do that. Do you? Do we ask? Of course we ask. But when the asking, it's important for us to realize that there isn't anyone that's going to answer that because it's already been answered. The light that you are seeking has already been given. The love that you are wanting to experience has already made you in its image and its likeness. And the peace that seems to elude you in a moment is your essence. It runs deep in your very being. It's who you are, it's what I am. And so when I lose sight of that, it's not because someone has turned off the switch. It's not because somehow it's being withheld from me. It's not because somehow I'm not deserving or I haven't earned it or haven't, prostrated, what's the word? I haven't prayed properly or begged properly or submitted myself to some sort of a ritual that makes me worthy to receive the light. It's not because of any of those things that I haven't done. It's because the decision that I have made where I am in charge of opening the portal that would allow the light to reach me in my awareness, in my consciousness, in my heart. It is there, but it doesn't always reach the awareness because I argue that it's not here. I look for conditions and circumstances and people to evidence that the light is in my life. Remember the song, You Light Up My Life? It's about talking about an individual. You light up my life. And of course the truth is that person might make you have certain responses in you that would feel like you are experiencing more light. But we know that it isn't just the person being the person, that other person. It's the response that you generate that allows that light to feel, to be felt, and to be known, and to be realized, and to be experienced as here and now. And so that's just such a great reminder, because so much of our life is really seeking but not finding. Can anyone relate? Because we seek amiss. We look without when it's within. Hafiz wrote a poem. He said, "One day the sun admitted, I am just a shadow. I wish I could show you the infinite incandescence that has cast my brilliant image. I wish I could show you, when you are lonely or in darkness, the astonishing light of your own being." The astonishing light of your own being. That's what our spiritual work is to render and bring to fruition. The astonishing light of our own being. Eric Butterworth, a great community author, wrote a book called Discover the Power Within. And what he said was that it's sort of a reinterpretation of Christianity with a new thought perspective. And what he says in the beginning of that book is that Jesus made a great discovery. And that great discovery was that he discovered the divine within him. When he said the kingdom of God is within you, and you must become as a little child in order to enter into the kingdom, he was talking about where it was and how you would get there. And becoming like a little child is suddenly trusting again. It's last week we talked a little bit about the rational mind and the intuitive nature. And it does take that sort of childlike trust and innocence in order for us to reclaim the innocence of our original light nature, of our original spiritual nature. It takes that sort of yielding and letting go of all of the arguments that would speak against the reality of our own being. All of the things that require things to be lined up a certain way and conditions to appear a certain way in order for us to feel that good about ourselves. It's the trust that says it's here, it's now, that allows us to open that portal. And, in the photography parlance, the idea of when you take a picture with a camera, there's two things that determine how the picture is exposed. One is the opening, the aperture, where the light enters the film, and the other is how long the aperture stays open. So we could say the same thing for us, except maybe the aperture is the heart. And it's opening the heart, and to the extent that you can open the heart and leave it open is the extent that you can expose yourself to the light. You can expose yourself to a more realistic understanding and realization of what you are. And when you realize that all of that is contained within your very being, that when I know that I can get up in the morning, and as soon as I have that first negative thought, that morning you wake up, you think about your day, or something you have to do, or you're just angry because you can't just stay in bed, or whatever it is, and you can realize in that instant, maybe have something right next to you saying, wait a minute now, where is my heart? Because your heart is going to determine, the condition of your heart is going to determine the amount of light that you experience as you start your day. If your heart is open, and you can open your heart not just to the things that you love, you can open your heart to things that are difficult, because your heart bears all things. Remember it said in the Bible, love bears all things? It can. And the open heart has the capacity to be with whatever it is because it doesn't judge. It is that which embraces. It's compassion itself. And we know that about the most compassionate person is someone who can just be with you. And we have that capacity within ourselves as well. To open our heart, leave it open, so that we can shed light upon even those dark moments, even those dismal conditions or circumstances in our life, that we have the light within us. It's not going to get brighter by waiting for it to come from afar. But we wait for someone finally to show up in our life and to be the light of our world. I mean, there's a lot of talk about the second coming and all of this, that someday, it's all going to be rectified by someone coming and doing for us. But Jesus said, I leave you the Comforter, the Holy Spirit. These things that I have done, so shall you do, and even greater these things shall you do. He was talking about the Christ. He was talking about the Spirit within us. That is what we awaken to when we can open our minds and our heart to who we are and what we are. Plato said, we can easily forgive a child for being afraid of the dark. The real tragedy of life is when men are afraid of the light. And of course, many of us are familiar with Marianne Williamson's wonderful poem or quote where she said, it is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? And actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine, as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. And it's not just in some of us. It's in every one of us. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. And we're liberated from our own fear. Our presence, as we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Jesus said, don't hide your light under a bushel. You are the light of the world. If there's one statement that I think is worth considering over and over and over again is the statement of a master like Jesus who said, "You are the light of the world." What does that mean? And if you meditate on that, contemplate that, I've been doing that lately, and I realize that contained within that statement, taken literally at its truth, which of course, as I began my talk, it's borne out at all different levels of understanding today. It's not, here on Sunday and then Monday, well, now we're back in the world. And that was the struggle I had for a long time. And even here in the ministry, on Monday, or Monday's my day off, but on Tuesday we come back into the office, real easy to think, well, okay, Sunday was about all the spiritual stuff, now let's do the business of the church. It's easy to fall into the trap which says that the world has a different set of rules and that the spiritual stuff somehow doesn't apply. But if it's truth, it's true some of the time, all of the time. All of the time. And if we want to live from our highest self all of the time, then there can be no time, there can be no spot, there can be no agenda, there can be no task in which the awareness of that truth, that mission about being the light in the world would not be important to keep uppermost in our heart and to keep the heart open. To have the aperture of compassion and the aperture of creativity and the aperture of life and the aperture of peace open so that you can be the inlet and the outlet for all that God is. Does that make sense? And it can be done. It's not always easy because there's so many things in our world that we would say would cause us to close. And so that is where rubber meets the road. That's my growing edge. Because certain things are going to cause me to become defensive or try to guard myself or to protect myself. And it's in those moments that I do need to ask for help. And the help that I'm asking for is there is a part of me that is connected to these higher truths that never forgets. And that part of me can be called into the decision-making process or to come forward, to show me the way when I am tempted to go down a path that would be dark. So we have it within us, and yet we also live in a world in which we have choices. And the work for you and I is to understand that in any given moment we can either be identified with the light and the truth and the wholeness, or we can be identified with something else. And usually what the choices that we make will determine what we experience in life. Yes? You know what I'm saying? You're being very quiet today. Really serious. You're really talking to me. I know he's talking to me. What am I going to do about that guy? What about that? What about the in-laws and that thing at work and the co-worker and the traffic and all that? You can think of all the exceptions to the rules, can't we? But there's no exception to the truth. I don't care, we can argue all day until we're blue in the face. The truth will remain the truth. Who and what you are is who and what you are. As your essence. You are light. You are love. You are peace. You are joy. That's what the divine made you. And any other version of that is one that who made up? Ego. We did. Yeah, the ego. The sense of separated self that loves to play charades and make costumes and forms and do everything that would bear witness to a very separate and suffering kind of reality. So the journey home, the journey back to truth and light, is a journey, and the Course in Miracles would say, is a journey without distance. And that's really important to remember, because sometimes doesn't it feel like you're so far apart with another person? Oh my God, we are like so far apart. There's another universe where that person is, and I'm over here, right? But if the work can be done inside of you, yeah? If the work can be done inside of you, then there is no distance between the closed heart and the open heart. That's just the choice that happens inside of me. All my good quotes have been given to you. Put these away. like to do a little process with you, so let's do that. Woody, could you play a little piano? And we'll take this inside. What does the most good for us. So I invite you to put everything down and allow yourself to be guided in this process, if that works for you. As we just recognize that we have arrived. We are at that point in time and space that is absolutely perfect for us to awaken. And that this life that has been given to us could be no more appreciated and no more real and no more filled with potential and possibility than it is right here and right now in this room, in this space of time where you sit. So we just allow ourselves to relax and let go of the story of the words that have been shared this morning. To allow ourselves to fall into a place where we would feel safe. For you, that may be an image of being in the arms of a loved one, maybe a grandmother or a godmother or some individual, or someplace in nature where you feel very, very good, where you can move into your heart and feel safe and trust. And as you sit in this space with this scenario in your mind, allow yourself to notice how your heart responds to this idyllic situation. Notice how your body feels. Notice if you feel the life energy in you now. That life energy that animates you in every moment, perhaps now is even more noticeable. There's maybe a tingle of energy, as well as a calm that pervades your being for having let go and trusted and just being with the situation. It so agrees with your heart. This is a place where you can absolutely be yourself. You can just let go of any false persona or guarding or defensiveness. Just be you. Just be you. And notice, if you will, a ball of light in the center of your being. This representing your essence, the seed of light that God planted in you, in your creation. And allow this ball of light to brighten and expand in all directions, moving out from the center of your being to all parts of you, illuminating and radiating and filling every dark place of your mind, your body, yourself. And allow yourself to feel the radiance of your own being as light, unbridled, unlimited, expanding, growing, moving outward without any limit, with unbounded ability to shine and glow and be itself, in you and as you and through you. And allow this to be your experience and anchor this experience in your awareness now. For as it says, this is the light that enlightens every man and woman who comes into the world. This is who you came here to be and what you came here to be. And to the extent that you are not, to uncover. Jesus said, take the light from under the bushel and put it on a lampstand for all the world to see. You are the light of the world. Let your light so shine that wherever there is darkness, there is light. Wherever there is sadness, there can be joy. Wherever there is doubt, there is faith. Wherever there is enmity, there can be love. And where there is this light, there is eternal life. And so we give thanks that this journey within that brings forth the light is our simple journey home that goes within that we may express it without. Now, this is how we realize and express our divine nature. It is our mission, our purpose, the best use of this life. Grateful and expectant of good. And we go forth to be the light in this world on earth as it is in the dwelling place of the Most High. So it is.